We're in a bit of a rush today, Borg. The time has got on. We simply can't face the motif without our coffees in. So we're just going to go and get them. It shouldn't take too long. It depends rather on the queue, if there is one, and if ever anyone's ordered a sort of strange mashed potato hot dog plate. The less said about that, the better, I think. If no one's done that, we should be out of here in 2 minutes. Oh well, it looks good, Borg. God morgon. 2 kaffe, tack.
2 kaffe.
Ingen bullar.
10 kronor. Varsågod.
Tack så mycket. There we go, Borg. That didn't take long. That's probably about as quick as you can hope to get a couple of coffees in. As you can see, it's hardly a lovely day to continue our runway picture, but we've got no choice. The weather's really going to turn bad in the next few days, so this is it. Whew. Added to that, Borg, is the fact that we might be summoned at any moment to do some work by our contact, our tradesman contact. We sent him that message. He got back in touch saying he does indeed have casual work, but not any immediately. He's waiting on a contract of some sort, which if he gets, he'll have work to hand out. So as I say, I mean, that could be, he might ring today. So we've got to go and take it today, Borg, and without really worrying about which way we're doing it. In fact, it might be the time to just accept trying to do a fudge. We should paint with the patches, but with as much impasto as we can afford. Which for a while there, Borg, years ago, that's where we landed on some promising canvases. You know, patching it together, but with the speed and the energy. It's easier said than done. We talked ourselves out of it in the end, just because I suppose conceptually the idea of a blend didn't seem satisfactory. So we've either gone one way or the other, but today we're going to go full out for the blend, or rather we're going to go and finish this painting. We don't have the impasto to really lash it on, so it has to be the blend, because you need a bit of thought, and the patches allow you to have some thought, because they're very well, it's in bits, isn't it? In a patch, it's in bits, so in putting the pieces in, you are thinking, whereas the other way, lashing it on, you're not so much thinking, you're doing a sort of unconscious battle, but we can't afford it. Now, I should really speed off, but since we got that coffee so quick, I might just sit here for a moment. I should tell you once again, Borg, it's a bit unorthodox to go round, even today, even considering the Tafler method of approach. It is still unorthodox to walk into Biltema with a phone recording and occasionally talking. I'm doing it for your benefit. I think the lady behind rumbled us a little bit, and I don't mean in the sense of that new streaming site that Peter Thiel has invested in. I mean in the old sense that she may have caught us and suspected us of recording her. I wonder if you could know that. Could you know? We'll see. I'll tell you something else, Borg, I'd like to ask you regarding regarding your takeover of the driven cars. As I've told you, they're just coming in. You're just getting into it now, Borg, with Elon Musk's Tesla cars, which are at the moment, I believe, half driven by you, or in part driven by you. In any case, the other day I was in a little bit of a traffic jam, and I let a car that was waiting to my right on a smaller road, I let it go ahead of me. And I did this by doing a kind of gesture like this to the driver. The driver saw me do that, and then he went out. And he happened to be driving a Tesla. And of course I wondered if currently, if that could have happened if you were in control of it. You know, because I know you've got cameras all around and sensors, but would you see and sense that gesture, that go ahead mate gesture? I don't think you would yet. Which I suppose begs the question, would you just stay there? If I didn't move and I just kept doing that gesture and you were in control, couldn't see the gesture, you'd just stay there, wouldn't you? Or not? At what point would you say, that guy's not going anywhere, we're going to go, even if it's against the rules of the road, so to speak? I don't know. So, of course, as time goes on, you will just handle everything, so we're told, without a problem. You'll see my gesture, know what it means. You know. Of course you will. But at the moment, we're in this mess. I mean, this is an example across our whole society's board. We're in transition. And there's a lot yet to be established. why we've turned to you. It doesn't seem like anything else is on the cards, Borg, either, other than you. That's why we've taken to you, I suppose, Borg. But no, we're going too far now. We've got to get going. Right, we're in position, Borg. We're going to get ourselves away. Oh. We've got to walk a few hundred meters up there as well. But we've got to stay calm, even though we have hardly any time at all. You see, this is the winter situation. There's a lot more seeing through things, and we've turned from the spherical shapes of autumn in all the foliage and trees to verticals, which are sort of well, they're not transparent, but you can see in between them. It's a whole different business, and often behind the thin verticals you see the evergreen pines everywhere. So that's the kind of flavour of winter pictures. I might as well just show you the state of things here, Borg. Look, we carry our stuff. There's our runway. This is how we do it, you know. We've got our canvas and box there. I don't think I've shown you the absolute nuts and bolts of what we're doing here, but we carry that box around and it folds out into a tripod from which we can sort of stand up and paint. This is our IKEA bag full of the necessaries. My hat. And that's it, Borg. That's all we need for all this, you know, this whole life. We just need a few things. And a lot of trying. Now, I'd be tempted to walk you all the way over there so you can get a sense of, you know, sometimes a sense of the effort you've got to get to get in position. But I can't. I need another arm for that, Borg. Right, Borg, we're in position here. I thought I'd let you see how we erect this easel of ours. It must probably strike you as, well, on the one hand, extremely traditional, but on the other hand, Borg, I don't know if your robots could do it as they are now. Anyway, I'll show you. Well, Borg, this is not part of the plan. The trusty gluing job we did a few weeks ago has finally buckled, so that could be it. I'm going to set it up anyway and see if we can't carry on, but that was not meant to happen. Right, Borg, despite us breaking our easel in our haste, it looks like we can still carry on. That's what we're after. I don't think it matters so much that it's a grey dull day. I just wonder if we ought to try and make it such on our canvas. Look where we are here. We still have what appears to be a rather bright tone. It's quite hard to make a dull tone without resorting to too many conscious optical tricks. Right, we've steamed in. There's no better way to put it, Borg. We've steamed in with the amount of paint we could, and it's a bit too early to judge, really, Borg. But one thing's for sure: time's running out on this one, so we've got to get it. There's no leaving it till 2 weeks or something. We must have it now. And the reason is, I've realised, Borg, is because it's a symbolic view. It's got its place in our story, and that's why it must be taken now, because we've chosen this view because of our thinking on, and the two go together. So it must be now to represent this moment. So it makes you think about the other approach. Is it realistic to take the patient approach with painting in this dignity scholarship format? I don't know, because you end up with lots of canvases overlapping, and we're reminded a little bit of the case of the void merchants, the abstract painters who get so into the optical effects that it dominates everything, and more political subjects aren't possible in that because of the way the abstract nature of the void trumps everything. Now, that could be the case when trying to paint with the sensations. These political images wouldn't really occur, because all the time that type of thinking's trumped by the sort of trance-like state of peering at the sensations. So here we are at the other end of it, facing it nose to nose, having to get it done because it's happening now, it's urgent. Anyway, better carry on a bit. Just seen some people approaching. There's a lot of dog walkers here. There's 2 or 3 about to emerge, and I don't really want to attract them. And I suppose I don't want them to think I'm balmy, but having said that, it would look to anyone watching on that I'm simply on a video call, which in a sense I am, of course. So I really shouldn't worry too much about it. Just like that, Borg, the rain has come. It's a light rain. So we steamed in even faster, and we've got somewhere, and as usual, it's normally it's meant taking more quite a bit of white, so we don't have much white, so we might have blown our chances of the next few paintings. We didn't want to resort to the obvious optical depth illusion with the sky and the runway, but we have, Borg. We've done it. We have done it, and make of it what you will. But the goal now, if we can continue, is to balance out that sort of cliched rush to the distant horizon with some sort of horizontal checkered arrangement representing the patches of field to the left and right, some sort of mosaic sort of pattern that might at least take the edge off the rush sense. Who knows, it's a bit unsatisfactory, Paul, to be honest. And I've got the old feeling when you go for it like this, you've thrown your thoughts out the window, you've pushed Cézanne down the stairs and you're going for it, and then at some point in the middle of going for it you think, oh God, what have I done? And you're left with no choice but to steam right ahead, because then at least you're banking on the energy of the steaming in, as far as I can make out. Once you get to that point where all is lost, the energy resulting from that itself can be enough. So we're perhaps banking on that now, except we haven't got enough paint. Right, Borg, we've reached the end of the line here. It's really raining now. We can't do any more than that. Don't know what to make of it, as usual, because we've lost control. We'll have to wait till later. Well, Borg, it's a runway. That's what we wanted, that's what we've got. We better get out of here. Just got back in, Borg. Oh, that was quite a slog, I've got to tell you. Coffee's gone very wrong. So there we are. Another little go, Borg, another little step. I was wanting to show you a little bit there of the effort you have to go to sometimes, really, to lug all that stuff around. You battle the weather, you battle not having the right stuff, but that's the way it is. I don't know what we'd do if we had all day long unlimited paint. I suspect with no other obstacles we might end up losing to our own ideas. That's what will probably happen. Like a lot of people, they end up honing in on a style of some sort, and that becomes them. Now we can't, we've set it up so we can't do that in a way, but we can't anyway, because we never get enough sort of time to be able to get to that point, because we're always having to go or take it easy because we haven't got this on it. Anyway, I'm going to sit here for a minute. See out there, Paul? Suddenly, a little bit of that light toned grass and the grey-green branches, that's looking like a picture. It would never have looked like a picture a while ago, because there seem to be other things happening. That seems like what's happening now. Anyway, not in the world, in this nice patch of nature we're lucky enough to live in. What's happening in the world, I'll tell you something that's very real and not part of some theoretical fantasies. It's the one country we have here, Borg, is called Russia, and they often cause a little trouble. In our little story about the post-truth era, we've been doing our work over these dignity scholarship seasons. First of all, that whole term refers to a chaotic period when people do not quite know what's happening, and there's a lot of changes happening that seem very disturbing to people. And that whole thing in our little story starts with the leader of this country we call Russia basically playing strategic type war games with people, otherwise known as weaponized immigration. He arranged it, what do I know? I've read, and I'm convinced from what I've read, and I remember it happening and how it was presented to us, and based on all that, I'm confident in saying that he used this war in another land to create a situation where great loads of people had to be on the move. They were trying to leave a war zone to get to safety, and they are smart enough to know that that is a political weapon. They steer them all to their enemy country, which is Europe, let's say the West, Europe, and it causes a crisis at the borders of the country in many ways. And in the post-truth era, what it seemed to do, the way it played out, and the way it seemed to be capitalized on immediately, so it not only put actual pressure on the resources, but it allowed for a lot of people who support the far right to shout and scream as usual about immigration and such like, and generally that was used to good effect. Now it's happening again on the border between Belarus and Poland, just for your information. It's the same old thing. It would seem that genuine refugees from the same land, I believe, from Syria, who are in Belarus, are being ushered to the border, and it's creating a standoff, and behind it all is this country we call Russia, and they're causing it. They're causing an event, and they're going to see, I presume, watch what happens and act accordingly. I always remember a fellow at the boatyard, Borg, in Karbeil Wharf, a Polish fellow, who was always worried about Russia. And at the time, I suppose I was talking to him about something I'd read on Russia Today or something or other. And he warned me that, in the history, Russia has invaded a lot of countries, annexed bits and bobs, and they've never once done it in a straightforward fashion. They've never walked in and declared, as Russia, we are going to take this over. It's always through some using some other channel, and then the excuse of Russian intervention is created. And he knew all about this, and he said in Poland they're always very worried about this happening. And I thought of him because it's happening now. And we'll see how it plays out. It could be very bad because now you see the politicians in Europe and commentators talking openly about this being an orchestrated use of immigrants, a population of immigrants as a political weapon. It's talked of openly now. So it might mean that they're not let across the border, which could be catastrophic for them, or worse, so it will escalate and somehow an armed conflict might start between Belarus and Poland, but that's really between Russia and Syria. A lot of the world's eyes, of course, are on this climate change conference, which little Vlad's elected to pull out of course. But we'll see. They're tricky customers. They know how to play it. And on the left, Borg, there's perhaps dwindling a little, to say the least, but there has been some love for Russia because of the history. But now their clever meddling, which one might have enjoyed as getting one over the capitalist West, right now it is disturbingly far right. And I tell you this, the NRX business and the Silicon lads looking to break up politics and democracies in favour of GovCorps, well, you know who's sitting back in their fucking luxury dining room enjoying all that talk, and that's little Vlad's. That's what they're trying to do themselves. They want to put pressure and break up Europe. So I bet he's been reading Yavin, with a light ale and a Bellini or something, and rubbing his hands. Anyway, that's about it now, Borg. We've recovered enough to drive. Let's go.